Hi everybody, it's Joni Young here. Welcome back from another painting tutorial in acrylics. Today I'm going to show you how to paint snow-covered branches with a little bird perched on one of them. And I'm going to be working on a 16 by 20 double primed and stretched canvas today. It's pre-primed with some acrylic gesso. And I have the following colors: titanium white, light olive green, phthalo blue, Mars black, and luminous orange. You can use any other colors that are similar to these or whatever you prefer if you like. And I have the following brushes I'll be using, starting off with my largest number 30 filbert brush for the background and the branches. And then for some smaller details, I'll be using this number 10 little round brush. And then I've got a really small number 3 round brush I'll be using for even smaller details. So I hope you guys are excited to learn how to paint this. Let's jump in and get started. I'm going to just wet my canvas down first with a little bit of water in the spray bottle. This will help me blend my paint around a lot easier. Oh, I forgot one brush. Sorry, I forgot to mention one other brush I'll be using for blending my background with to make it look kind of soft and airbrushed and blurry is this little mop brush. This is about 1 inch and it's a nice soft mop brush. It's actually a makeup blush brush and it works really, really well with acrylic paints. So I'm just going to take my large filbert here and just spread this water around evenly over the canvas. And then what I'm going to start to do is come in with a little bit of green, blue, white, and a tiny bit of the orange. For a blurry background, it's going to be kind of chunky looking, and then we're going to soften it after with a little mop brush like this. So I'm going to take some white, some green, and I'm just going to apply little patches like this here and there. Okay, then I'm going to come in with some blue. I'll take some white with that. You can mix a little bit of green in there too. And I'm just going to kind of wiggle around all the light green areas. We're just going for a blurry background of more trees and bushes. Maybe this is like a forest back here, who knows? And most of this area here, in this portion here, is going to be covered up with our darker branches that are going to be covered in snow with our little bird. And I'm going to go over to my large round brush. I'm going to take a little bit of white and a little bit of orange, and I'm going to add little dabs of this here and there. I'm going to add a little bit more white here and there, kind of picking up some of these colors. A little bit more orange. And start to get just a little bit looser. And then before this can dry, I'm going to rinse that brush out quickly. Before this can dry, I'm going to use this little dry mop brush and just start to go over in little circles. Just blending that all out to give it a blurry look. Now that other brush I was just using had a a little bit too much paint in it from picking up all the paint that I am by doing this. So I just put that in my water jug and picked up another dry and clean one. You can do this as often as you like. I always like to have quite a few of these brushes on hand for when I need them for lots of things, like creating these soft blurry backgrounds, and also if I need a dry and clean one for coming in with some bushes and foliage. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is pick up some more white now so we can soften this. So I'm going to go back over to my large filbert brush. I'm going to take a little bit more orange and white. And we're going to create some softer tones. And then we're going to blend over this again. But look how it's just starting to change already. The combination of the wet paint mixing with this paint and the paint starting to dry underneath in some areas too is going to give us a really pretty background. And it's going to look like we spent way longer painting this than what we will be. Okay, I've got my dry and clean mop brush here. Just go over lightly again in little circles. Now, depending on how light and soft you want your background, you can keep adding more and more. I'm probably going to add a little bit more white, but I want to dry this off first and then come in with my next layer of white. And I'll probably just be sort of dry brushing over some white. And I may or may not need to use another mop brush, but you can see after you wash them, once they get wet and you wash them, they lose their shape. Now, when they're at this stage, they can be really useful for other techniques, but not for the airbrush background effect. I'm just going to take my hair dryer and completely dry this off, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to come in and soften this even more. Okay, so now that I've dried it off, I'm going to come in with a little bit of white and a little bit of orange again. Just a little bit. Really just wanting to tint our white to make it a little warmer. And then what I'm going to do is just mist my canvas here with a little bit of water. And I'm going to start going over and giving it this sort of creamy, milky, transparent layer of soft peach. And I'm going to create a neat design here and there by just twisting my brush around. So just place it in one spot and twist. This will kind of give you a little bit of an interesting background. Get a little more artsy looking. A little something like that. And now we're going to start coming in with a few branches. We're going to come in this area here And I'm going to be using this filbert brush again. And what I'm going to do is take a little bit of black, just a little bit on the end here, and I'm going to mix it with my blue and green. So let's just mix it all up right here. I'm going to take a little bit more of the blue, touch of white, and we'll start coming in here. We're going to add some branches that come sweeping down here, and we'll have a little bird here and there. I'm going to pull like this. There's a few ways of adding the needles, so you can kind of tap and pull. Let me just get a little bit more water here. Thin the paint out a little bit. Add some more green and blue. Really wiggle and get your filbert nice and fanned out and flat. So you can add a bunch of these like this. You can use the filbert brush. We can also use the round brush, and I'll be showing you how to do that in just a moment. I just want to come in with a few darker, thicker branches first. I'm going to add another one right here. And then I'm just going to make this look a little bit thicker and bushier in this area here. Okay, I'm going to rinse this brush out, and now I'm going to switch over to my long round brush. This long one here. And mix up some more paint. And now we can start. You can go from the outside in, or you can pull from the center stem out if you want. Whatever's easiest. And of course these will stand out a little bit better once we add our snow. Let's mix up a little bit more in here. So this is just the first layer. Just have fun with it and be fairly loose with your brush strokes. Let the brush guide you. You don't have to use a lot of pressure. If you find that you are having to use a lot of pressure just to leave a mark there, then you may need to add a little bit more water or paint. So we've got some darker ones and some softer looking ones. And what I want to do now is make a shade of brown for the branch. So I'm going to just take some orange, a little bit of white, and along with that sort of green, blue, black mixture, we can add a little bit here. This will dry a little bit darker as well. Then I want to take some black and I'm going to go just under here and add a little bit more shadows, some darker contrast before we come in with our lighter colors. Okay, so now I'm going to start coming in and adding white, mixing it with that bit of blue and green mixture. Load the tip of my brush. I'm going to add a little bit of it on the stem inside here. Because the paint's wet underneath still, I don't really need to mix it too much into the blue and green, because it's going to pick up a little bit of that directly on the canvas here. And then I'll tap in to make some of the snow a little thicker in some areas. So come in and just start to add some thicker, fluffier bunches of snow that's just resting here and collecting. I'm going to add some in here as well. Make it a little thicker so it's not see-through. And then we're just going to continue to layer here. I'm going to add just a little bit of blue in here, change up the color tone a little bit. It's darker here, so it'll show up a little better. I'm gonna add a little bit more white down in here. Make it a little bit thicker. See how I'm loading my brush with a little bit more paint. And I'm gonna load it above the needles and kind of go in between. Go over top of this branch. This will make it look more layered. I'm gonna take a little bit of blue, mix that in with my white, and add some in here. I'm going to come in really thick because I want this to really look and feel 3D when it dries. I like to do this on a few things in the foreground. Now I'm going to mix up, even though I've got quite a bit of white in there, I'm going to mix up some more blue and green and black. And I'm going to bring another branch out here. So we have a little bit more of a dip. Just to make this come out just a little bit further, make it a little bit more interesting with this composition. I'll rinse my brush out. Go back over to the orange, white, brown mixture that we made. I'm a little shaky when I do this to give it more of a natural crooked branch look and feel. I'm going to add a little bit more snow in here. Just some of the pine needles. And back over to our dark mixture, blue, black, and green. I'm going to add a few needles coming up here, right underneath that snow. a little bit more white. Okay, now I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this round brush, a little bit of water, white, and a touch of blue. And I'm going to kind of just play up on these swirls. Just go around and around, making it smaller and smaller in the center. This just adds a little bit of whimsicalness in this painting. I think it's kind of pretty. Take a little bit of that peach, mix it in with the white. And we'll just take a little bit more white and just dab little bits of chunks of snow here and there. We even have a few little icicles, a little bit just kind of hanging off here. Okay, I'm going to dry this off and then add our bird. I'm wondering maybe to add the bird right here or right here. I'm not sure yet, but I'll figure it out while I'm drying this off. Okay, so I've dried this off. The paint, the white paint that I added for the snow is pretty thick, so that's still wet. I'll just be careful of that area. And I'm gonna be sketching in our little peach bird now, and I'm using my smallest #3 round brush for this. I'm gonna get my brush just a little bit wet, and I'm gonna take a little bit of black and a little bit of white and just make some gray. I'm just gonna use my little water bottle, mist my palette down so the paint stays wet longer. And I think I'm gonna have my little bird right here. I'm gonna have his little feet. We'll just add his little feet right here in the snow on that branch there. And then I'll just mix up a little bit more. I added even a little bit more water. I really want to thin my paint out for this. And I'm gonna add the belly, start up here, and then we're gonna go around here, scoop. Sort of an oval shape like this. Okay, so the belly is going to come above the feet. I'm just going to take a little bit of black on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to add a little pull, 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 just picking up that white paint, but that's fine. I just want to add this here. I can always come back after and go over them. So there's our little bird feet. And then we're going to have a curve right there. This is going to be the neck area. We're going to come up here, and our tail wing area is here. This comes out a little bit straighter and then pops out, and then we have the wing right here, and then the tail that comes down a little bit longer on an angle like that. I'm going to take a little bit of white and mix that in. Just going to pull over like that. More white now. I'm going to bring it a little closer. So making that soft gray color again. Okay, I'm going to take some black now. I'm going to come in here into a V, kind of make this like a triangle. And then we're going to just bring it skinny here over, and then make it a little wider here. Triangle here. Now this triangle is going to go around it up here. We're going to round that out into a little beak. Just a baby little beak like that. I'm going to take a little bit of white, put that on the top to lighten that. We're going to paint the head now. I'm going to pop this out just a little bit bigger. And there we have the head. Take some white, lighten the top. Going to come back in with some black now. We're going to bring this down, outline that beak, and then we're going to push this black back here. Back, back, back. Back to that little triangle area. We're going to start making this area darker in here. And then I'm going to rinse my brush out. Just going to thin this out a little bit here. Just actually all I'm doing is pushing off excess paint. And then I'm going to come in with some white in the middle here. We'll add the eye after, but I'm going to just push this out, start to gradually add this in right next to the black. And I'll probably dry this area off. I'll dry it off in just a moment. I'm going to take some white, clean brush, and I'm going to add some white feathers right here, just short little pulls and flicks. And come under here again. Then a little bit of black. Bring that down. Cut right under the wing here. Gonna add some black spots, spotted feathers. A few little lines. I'm going to really carefully start to blend this black partially into the gray on the top. Take a little bit more of my white. Add that to the beak. I'm going to take some white and I'm going to start painting inside the belly. I'm going to go partially over the gray outline, and then I'm going to leave just a faint line of that gray to outline it so that it really stands out and doesn't get lost in the white snow behind it. I'm going to start to pull these short little pulls for feathers, and then round right here and under that wing. I'm adding another color. This is Luminous Yellow, and here it is here. It looks like a very light, warm, orangey yellow. And I'm going to include that in the belly and add a little bit back in the sky as well. So now it's dry and I can come in and start adding some lighter areas. I'm just going to make a really, really light shade of gray. Work off the majority of the paint once I make this light color here. And I'm just going to add a little bit of it on the top of the head. A little bit on the wing there, and I'm going to take a little bit more black and come under the beak and across, and then bring this out a little wider right here. We're going to paint the eye. Oh, actually, I'm not going to paint the eye yet, because you know what, we need to paint the white area first on the face. So I'm just going to rinse all of that black out, and I'm going to take some more white. I want this to be nice and bright, so I'm going to add another clean, fresh layer of white here, and then come inside. And a little bit more white again. I want to make sure I get the color that I want on here, so I'm going to be drying this off once more. I'm going to take a little bit of black before I do that and go over these little feet here and legs. Just add a little bit of black under there. A few little lines on the wing for some more feathers. Just separating a few feathers here. I'm going to dip down a little bit more black in here. And then with a little bit of paint on the end of my brush, I'm going to add a little eyeball. It's partially over the white. And starts on the black. I'm going to take a clean brush, a little dab of white, and I'm going to add it at the top of the eye like that. Now I'm going to take some more white, a little pressure, tap, gently pull, and let off. Okay, so I've dried this off once more. I'm going to start coming in with, just going to get a little bit of fresh white here. I'm just using Titanium White by Liquitex. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of that light yellow. I still have a little bit of black here in my brush. Let me just rinse this out once more. Let's try that again. Right here in a clean area. There, that's more of the color. See, there's a little bit of black in there, making it kind of gray. So what I'm going to do is start a little bit down here. I'm going to make this brighter white. Just light little pulls like this. But see how the gray underpainting plays a role in giving you some little shadows? I'm going to add a little hint of this on just under the neck and the top of the wing. And then I'm going to add a little bit down here as well. A little on the tail. And now I'm going to come in with orange and yellow. And I'm going to start feathering up and down, slight little scoop to go with the shape of the belly. I'm going to add a little bit more paint, a little bit more orange, less white. And then as we get down here, I'm going to dirty this up a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit of black, a little bit more of the orange and the yellow. So now we're getting more of a light tan color. And this is just to start adding some little subtle shadows in here. Just feathering that in to the existing peachy orange paint in there. Now I'm going to go over again and I'm going to add a few more. I don't want it to look solid. I want to be able to see a little bit of other shades in between. Add just a little bit on the top of the head. A little bit on the face. And now I'm going to bring the belly down a little lower. Make him just a little chunkier. Maybe he's been eating a lot of berries. Okay, and then a little bit of white and black. I'm not even rinsing my brush out. I'm going to just let those other colors blend in. And I'm going to add a slight shadow right here under the feather. Nothing too dark. Okay, I'm going to rinse my brush out. Take a little bit of white and I'm going to lightly pull that in. This gives us a totally different shade. I don't know if you guys can, the camera's picking that up, but it gives it more of a peachy, cool peach shade. I'm going to take a little bit of black, clean brush, and I'm going to come around and then bring it down a little lower. Here as well. Light little scumble or blending with the leftover black in my brush. Clean brush. This is dry, fresh white, just straight white. Just in the middle here. And also right under the base of the neck, the black, right where that black line is, we're just going to lightly pull off of that and gently flick, lightly overlapping that soft luminous yellow. I'm going to take straight luminous yellow now, and I'm going to add another little pop of color here and layering. These are beautiful luminous paints because that's exactly what they are. They make your painting look luminous. It glows. Then back into straight orange with clean brush. Right where the shadow area meets that bright yellow. Just bringing the two together so we get a nice gradation. Now I do want to add just one more color, a little bit of luminous red. I'm going to add just the tiniest dab of this, and this is even too much. I just need the littlest bit here. Brush is a bit too wet. I don't want to have any water in my brush for this. Just paint only, mixing a little bit of white. A little bit of white in there. And I'm just going to add a little bit of a rosy, soft pinky glow in here. And go back into my black. I'm going to bring this up a little bit more right in here. And I'm going to mix up a tiny bit of blue in with my red to make a pretty light kind of violet color. And I'm just going to add little bits of this to the branches in the snow. Just little touches of color. Oh, that paint is still wet. Come in with a few extra little snow-colored covered needles. And I'm just mixing up a little bit of leftover paint here. Orange with white. And a little bit of tint to my snow. Gonna mix up some blue in there. Let's make that a little lighter. Phthalo blue is such a strong, this brand anyways. This is Liquitex Basics. Very pigmented, beautiful paint. You don't need much of it, but I'm just gonna come in here with some shadows on my snow. This will also accent the top layer to look brighter with highlights. Gotta have highlights and shadows. They complement one another. Can't really have one without the other. And I'm just adding a little bit of extra snow here and there. Now I like the little bits of purple, so I'm gonna add another little dab of red. Mix that in and make a pretty shade of purple. Very light rose, dusty rose. Let's see how that goes. I'm going to add just a little bit of this color to the wing. I think that's really pretty. Just a little hint of this violet color. It's complementary. This little touches of this here and there can be really pretty. A little bit more to the beak area. Maybe use it for a little bit of shadows in here. Just rinsing that out, and I'm going to soften this. A little bit of a damp brush to work that out a little bit more. And I'm going to make a light pink, titanium white, and some red. And let's add little bits in here as well. I like playing up on colors. Those are the kinds of paintings that I'm attracted to. Lots of pastels. And then sometimes I guess sometimes I want to take a break from color and I'll just go to a limited palette, quite often just black and white. Just gonna add a last little touch of that light baby pink there. And I'm just gonna outline the eye a little bit here. Just used a little bit of white for that. I'm going to clean this up, go in between those circles with a little bit of black. I think this would be pretty to add a little bit of snow with my toothbrush. I just got a toothbrush here, dunk it in some water, take some white, maybe mix it up with some of that red. Add a little spray of snow. And I just kind of scrub gently to load it. Changing the direction. And as I finish up this painting, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one and many others here on my channel and Patreon. Wishing you guys all the best. I'll see you soon in another video. Bye!